It's live. Wait a few minutes while everybody starts joining us. I see we have a few attendees already. Feel free to post in the chat where you're from, where you're coming from, where you're watching. I want to welcome everybody who's already here. Thank you. Give a few minutes. Arkansas, nice. That's great. We have somebody. I live in Brazil, but from the US. That's cool. That's really cool. I had an uncle who lived in Brazil for a while, but he's back here in Puerto Rico. So Minneapolis, that's great. We have a lot of people from everywhere. That's great. We have already a small group. San Diego, that's great. I bet the tax information for California is going to be very useful. So that's great. Florida, nice. Haven't been to a lot of places in Florida. Haven't been to Cape Coral. Give a few more minutes, 2 more minutes while everybody joins us. And then I'll go ahead and start a presentation. Chicago, nice. I bet it's pretty cold this time of year right now over there. I have a friend who just came back from Chicago. He's a Puerto Rican, so you could expect how he felt about the weather. It was pretty cold. Luckily, he had all the equipment and stuff. So that's great. We have 2 from Illinois. 21 degrees. Oof. The coldest is gotten here in Puerto Rico. I'm just gonna make everybody a little bit jealous. And here I'm accompanied by my boss, Carilisa, and she's in Hawaii, so she could tell us a little bit also about the weather. But the coldest gotten here in Puerto Rico is 70. Well, at least where I'm at in Puerto Rico. So 70 degrees, and that's chilly weather. That's, you get a blanket and you go outside and you drink hot coffee or some hot soup in the day. So that's, I'm sorry. That's great. I still want to visit Chicago. I haven't been actually. So let's keep on waiting 1 more minute while everybody joins. California, great weather always. I want to visit. I haven't had the chance. I'm gonna give if you have the link to the meeting, make sure to share it with your friends to let everybody know that the office hours is about to begin. Usually this is a more intimate, close-knit group. Then the recording goes out and everybody gets a chance to see what's going on. But it is already 7:05. So let me go ahead and start. Let me see 1 second. Okay. So let me get in the chat. If everybody can see that, please confirm. So I'm making sure I'm sharing the correct thing and not my background or some personal conversation. So let me see, everybody tell me please if it looks good. Perfect. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me introduce myself for those who don't know me. My name is Jorge Riera. I am your publisher champion. I'm the liaison between you publishers and Boom Learning. It's great to have you here. Today I'm accompanied by Carilisa, my boss, and Michelle Andrews. So fellow SOP, fellow publisher, and she's going to be our special guest that's going to be mentioning some really cool, a really cool tool that they curated. So that's going to be really good. So let me get started. So the topic of this office hours is how to keep track of your taxes, is tips, tricks, and tools for your sales. It's really important, to keep to pay up and to make sure you don't get an unwanted visit from the government. You don't want to appear on any list because you're not paying your fair share. So let's go ahead and go through. Before we get started and before I get into any trouble, I want to mention that, of course, I'm not an accountant. This is not tax advice. It's not legal advice. And we're not a tax service, and we're not qualified to give tax or legal advice. We can only provide resources for where you can find information and instructions on how to obtain your sales. So basically, I'm just showing you where to get their information. If you want to go in depth and you want to see specifically how everything goes on in your state and how you would allocate your taxes, then please consult a professional, a different sort of professional, of course. So for today's agenda, let me set the expectations. So first of all, I'm going to be going through reports, how to go over your sales reports, go to your dashboard and where to find that information. I'm pretty sure we're mostly familiar with it, and I just want to share that, and some documentation that you might need. I know everybody doesn't need this document, but if you do, you probably already know who you are, and I could point you towards the right direction. Then, of course, we have Michelle that's going to be sharing with us the sales dashboard, an amazing tool that she created that's really awesome, and it's helping the community visualize their sales in more visual way, of course. And then I'm going to share a sneak peek, so everybody that joined gets a preview of something that's going live, I believe by the end of the week. So it's going live pretty soon. And then at the end, Q&A. Of course, you could always post in the chat any questions you have live, and if it's related to what I'm sharing right now, I'll probably glance over and mention it. If it's more in depth and you want me to step out of the presentation and share something else, feel free to, of course, save it to the end and we'll address it. So first off, reports and documents. So let's discuss this real quick. It's something real short and sweet, but I just want to make sure we all know. Boom Learning grew a lot in the past 2 years, so there might be a group of new sellers that really don't know how to read this information or where to get it. So if you're a new seller and you're a little bit wandering around where to get it, feel free to comment and let us know. You know what? It would be a good exercise to see when everybody joins. So feel free to join, post in the chat what year at least you joined the platform. That would be really nice for us to see. We know a lot of people joined in 2020 while the pandemic was going on, and everybody switched to virtual. So we got Reich. Hey Reich, I haven't seen you in the chat in the Facebook group for a while, but May 2020. Brianna says May 2020. Michelle, April 2020, 2020, 2021. Nice. Shanna, and apologies if I butcher any names. I'll chuck it up to my accent. So I have a free pass. But Shanna has been creating for 4 years now. I appreciate that. Ellie, January 2021, October 2020. So that's great. That's really awesome. We appreciate you being here and spending your time and going through us. We grew exponentially since the pandemic, so it's great. So back to business, where to view your dashboard and how to view your payouts. I'm pretty sure mostly everybody knows this, but you would go, if you're at wow.boomlearning.com, you would go to the studio, where is the home base of the publisher. That's where you get all your information. That's where you create all your fun decks. So you would go to studio, you will scroll down, you would go to sales and go to the table that says payments. Something I want to mention that I see that some people are from 2020, so they already have 2 years of sales going on if you were publisher since then, or an ultimate for all those old school people. Then you would see every time there's a bold, this is the payout, and that would be a different year. So here you would see it's 2017, 2018, and 2019. So every time in your own payments, you could follow along if you have a different screen. Every time you see like the payments in the middle bolded, that means a year went by. So to follow along, to follow along, this is basically what you have to do. You would go to your dashboard, your sales, and that's where you would go to obtain your information. Of course, there you would copy that information and paste it on a spreadsheet for your sales. So that's from there, each state and each state is different. And if we have anybody watching this later on from a different country, then of course everything's different. So from here, you obtain the information you need, you put it in a spreadsheet, and from there you make your own calculations for according to your state or your country. So let me go through it one more time. You scroll down to your dashboard, payments, copy, and then from there you would obtain that information. Okay. So we have here a few. Yes, Susanna. So Carrie's over here helping me out in the chat. So I appreciate that, Carrie. We have a question. Would you copy and paste the info? Do we report the earnings or the net number? And Carrie replied, you would report the payouts. So documentation, some sellers might need the 1099 form. Some people don't need it. If you need it, you probably know this by now. If you do, we're not the ones that provide this information. You could find this information through PayPal, which is where you could find this information. Let me grab the link. I have it right here where you could obtain this. So for those of you in the chat, everybody should be able to see. One second. The PayPal information. So for those special scenarios, I believe is after a certain amount, people who make a sell after a certain amount might need a 1099 form. You would go to paypal.com and use the link. Or you could use a help center, frequently asked questions, and put the search for 1099 form, and you can download it with all the pertinent information. So that's where you could find it. And we are not the ones that provide it. So yeah, let me go ahead. And I believe now, oops, sorry. I believe now I'm going to pass it over to our fellow SOP publisher, Michelle Andrews, so she gets a chance to share with us a really cool tool.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
awesome.
Great.
Okay. Hi, thank you so much for having me on here to talk about my sales dashboard. I'm Michelle Andrews. You may have heard of my store, Pep Talk. I'm a speech therapist. I'm from the Austin area. I love creating speech therapy games and activities, especially boom cards. They're so much fun. I really love them. And I've been selling since April 2020. So I really wanted to look at all of my sales. I wanted to see, a visual. I wanted to see how I can improve my business with sales data information. So I made my own since we really needed one. And I know they're working on it someday, but this is an awesome tool that will get you lots of information right now. So let me show you what it looks like. I need to share my screen, or maybe it already is. All right, hopefully everyone can see this little screenshot visual that I made for you guys. Let me try I can see the comments in case anyone, okay. So let me just show you what it looks like, and then I'm gonna open up an actual copy of it so you can really see how it moves and works. So you will have 3 dashboards, a monthly, annual, and all time. You can, so starting with the monthly, you can choose which month and year you want to analyze. You can see, I think this is August 2021 for this example, just a random one. Here you see a line graph. You can hover over each dot to see your daily earnings, which is really fun. I like to see daily earnings. You know, maybe you send an email out to your followers, or you marketed on a social media platform that day. You know, it's great to see like how well did that perform. Here in the middle, you have your information, your net sales, your bundle sales, and deck sales. And if you sell any printies or files, it'll be under that category. I'll tell you how much your earnings are. And then you also, below that, you get to see how many were sold, how many decks, how many bundles, how many files. And then also at the very bottom, how many freebies, which is cool to track. If some people send out freebies and emails and things like that, how many people are downloading those each month, right there. So this pie graph, I really like. This shows your percentage of where Boom Deck sales are coming from by marketplace. So blue, of course, is Boom, their blue color, and then green is from TPT. Yellow would be if you sold from your personal website or somewhere else besides TPT and Boom. This is really helpful, especially seeing where your sales are coming from, where you might need to improve or grow. Of course, I'm sure Boom loves to see all that blue, but it's very helpful information to see where people are coming from to buy your Boom decks. Next, I want to talk about the annual chart. So it has a lot of the same information, but just for a whole year. So you can choose which year. Here on this number line, you can, if you hover over the dots, it'll show you your monthly earnings. So you can check those out. The same information in this middle chart, but for the whole year, and the pie graph as well. The all-time sales is really cool because then you can compare previous months and years. You can see, well, how did I do last January or February compared to now? So that's really useful information. The next tab on the dashboard, I know it's small right here, but I'll open it up and you can see it much bigger. And you can also zoom in when you're in the Excel spreadsheet. So you can easily see product data here by month, year, and all time. You can sort by the title, by the earnings, or by number of sales. So you can see all of those things. You can see how many times did a certain deck sell, how much has it made per month, per year, all time. That's really fun to see, especially if you spent who knows how many hours working on a deck. Oh, well, in the past year or whatever, it's made X, Y, Z amount. And that's really fun and encouraging, I think, to see. But it's also helpful. You can analyze this. You can see what are my best sellers. What I'm sorry. You can also see repeat buyers on what I'm about to show you, and then you can see the all-time earnings by each product. It's just great information to help your business. The next that I was about to talk about is the sales by buyer. I originally didn't have this in here, but I had so many requests for it that I added it in, and I think it's really fun and also helpful information. Here's where you see how many times a certain buyer has purchased one of your decks. So obviously it's not their name, but it's their code that everyone is given. So you can see by their code name how many decks, when they bought it, This will help you decide, which items to include in a bundle based on what buyers are purchasing. You can see when a buyer downloads a free deck and then returns to buy something. You can see when a buyer downloads a single deck and then returns to buy the whole bundle. So this is great information to see, how should I create bundles? What should I put in my bundle, or what products should I buy? What product is kind of getting people to my store? Maybe I should make more decks like that, because that's what people are liking. So all this is really cool information to see. My next, I'm gonna just show you the actual dashboard, I believe is next. Okay, nope, I didn't want to show you the next one. That's fine. Okay, so here's an example of what you will actually open up once you've filled out all your data into it. So it looks really big. You can make it smaller. So you want to look at all three of them at once, and you have, oh, that's way too small. You have really good vision, or you can zoom up and see it all really close. So you can see there's some information. If I hover over this dot, I can see that was a great day for this example. What was earned that day. Here is an example of the product sales dashboard. So like it's small, but you can zoom in. And then here you would choose which month you want to look at. You can choose which year you want to look at. And then all time would just be for everything. Next, I will show you what this looks like, the sales by buyer. You can go to your all time, you can see who are my super fans, and you can just look at their buyer ID number and be really happy about them. But it is fun and useful to see what people are coming back for, what products get people to your store. Next, I will show you kind of what it looks like to put all of your information in here. So when you download this, you'll see this. It'll have instructions. It'll have videos, how to get your data in here. How do you get this to work for you? So here's just part of the instructions that'll kind of show you how. You'll go to your seller's studio. You'll click on transactions. You'll choose the month and the year, where you want to start, probably where you first began, or if you want to just start for today, however you want to do it. You'll go in there and then you'll copy and paste all of your transactions, and make sure you do every page. If you've sold a lot, then wonderful. It might take you a little bit of time. I had a freebie kind of go wild, and that I actually had to download. I had to copy lots of pages, but I still did it, and it really didn't take me that long. So once you do it, you just do it once. So you copy into. Let me show you what it looks like. I'll just show you the actual dashboard, so it'll be a little easier to see. Dashboard. So you'll go into your data dump tab, and so you'll go, I guess this is what it looks like when it's fresh and you don't have data in there yet. You'll just want to make sure you're in the yellow spot, and you click and paste, and then it'll populate all the red and yellow columns, just how it's supposed to. And then all you'll have to do, each time you do add new data, all you have to do is refresh the whole thing. Just tell it there's new data in there, and it populates everything for you. Let's see. So next, I was to the instructions page. Okay, I guess that kind of talks about everything that it can do. Just wanted to reiterate, I guess, why it's so useful. You can analyze your best sellers to create similar items. This has been really helpful for me. I saw that my WH questions were selling well, so I made more of those. I even made it into a bundle. It's really helpful information to grow. We're all wanting to grow our business. It's fun to see your super fans, but also it's really important to see what someone's purchased and then later come back for more. You can see, and then seeing where your sales are coming from with the pie chart and stuff. And here are some of my lovely reviews that really made me so happy. These are These are really awesome. So I'm going to look and see if there's any questions, I guess. I don't think it's hard to look at questions while you're talking. So I don't know if I did that right, but yeah, so I hope you guys will check it out. It's something that I really find useful, and I hope that you guys will like it too. Oh, I guess one more thing. I just now, about an hour ago, I discounted it 20% off, and I'm gonna have that through Wednesday. I know there's a TBT sale, so I wanted to make sure it matched that, and it's already 20% off now. So even though that hasn't started just yet, but you can snag it for 20% off now. I believe that makes it $9.50, like just under $10. So about what I spend at Chipotle. So figured that was a reasonable price to share something really cool with you guys. All right, so now I need to stop sharing. Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Back to Jorge. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate Michelle for saying yes and making sure. Let me share the screen real quick. Okay, so everybody can see the chat, right? The presentation, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? Okay, so I hope everybody's seeing the presentation. So I appreciate Michelle from Pep Talk saying yes to this and coming up with this really amazing tool. She saw that there was a need for such a tool, and she stepped up and created it. So we really appreciate that. We deal with the most creative community out there, educators. So we love seeing tools like this and what everybody creates and comes up with. So if you want to share everything you've created, I hope you're in our Facebook groups that you get to see and communicate with people who also share the same passion as you. Teaching, educating, and making boop cards, luckily. So let me go ahead and continue. So this is your special treat. I don't want to overhype it, but I'm going to share a sneak peek of something that's going to come out this week. We have it has been brought to our attention that some people don't really know where to categorize their content, so they don't really know if it's university, or some people by mistake or purposefully they create their own. They put all the categories in their grades. So we went ahead and changed how this works, and I'm gonna go ahead and play this video so they could see. Of course, so if you have a university and you have pre-K chosen at the same time, then that's not going to work, because of course, if you have something for kindergarten or pre-kinder, it won't be university. So I believe it might be some last minute changes, but from 8th grade down, you won't be able to choose. And then 9th grade and above, that might go into university. So something I also want to encourage everybody to do, if some of your general life lesson decks, the name escapes me right now, but if those types of decks are not for university or can be used in every sort of grade, then we implore you to use not grade specific, and that means that you could use it throughout the whole high school, middle school, elementary, and that sort of stuff. So let me see. So perfect. Everybody got a sneak peek. There's a lot. There's something else going on. We have more stuff coming. We believe we're going to integrate a new tool. It's going to be helpful. There are a lot of teachers and students will benefit from this, but I can't say what it is. So that's all you're going to get from me before I get into trouble, because my boss is in this chat. So, and if you haven't seen, some of you might come from the email list and not necessarily from the Facebook groups. So I welcome you, and I invite you to join our Facebook groups, because that's where we are choosing the weekly themed content. If you remember, if you recall, previously there was to get to the featured page on our homepage, wow.boomlearning.com, and you would go to the store, and then you would appear at the featured page. To get there, there was a featured request form. So you would go, and there you would submit the deck, a deck that you wanted to be highlighted, or you would fill up, you would request to be highlighted for your store, and that's where we would get authors, bundles, or specific decks. Now, we changed it up a little bit, and now we're gonna have weekly themed content. And the important thing about joining our Facebook groups is that's where we actually get them. So every Monday, I go ahead. Oops, sorry. Every Monday, I go ahead and post in the group the upcoming week's theme, and if everybody is encouraged to share their own deck, their favorite deck, um, a bundle they found that was good, any content. So if you have your own materials, or you have one that you use in the classroom and you fell in love with it and it fits the theme, go ahead and post it in our weekly topic. It should be towards the top. And a little FYI of how it works is that we usually give 2 weeks advance, so teachers and educators have a heads up. They won't be teaching about Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day, probably. So we give them a heads up, usually about 2 weeks or a week and a half in advance. So we already went through Valentine's Day, Lunar New Year, President's Day, and now this week we have Spanish language. So I'm excited to see what everybody came up with and what everybody is going to be sharing with us. And from there, we choose what we see fit for the featured page. And from there, I'm going to open the floor. That's pretty much it. I'm going to open it for questions and answers, Q&A. We're 3 minutes over, but I'm going to give a few. We usually do these office hours for 30 minutes. I'm going to open it up for Q&A. And let's see what we have. So feel free to comment down below if any questions you might have. We're going to keep it rolling for a few minutes. Let's see. Let me stop sharing the screen. Perfect. Now you see me. I want to appreciate. I want to say thanks to Michelle that said yes and to being here, being a guest in our presentation, in our office hours, and coming up with this great tool. This new feature that I gave a preview of is part of the feedback we receive. We receive a lot of feedback. We're a small company, as I mentioned, but if you bring it to our attention through the Facebook groups or through help@boomlearning.com, then we make sure the right people, which is in this case the development team, gets to see the problem, sees the issue, and comes up with a proper solution. So, and before I go, I have here, if you want to read more on how to understand your sales, I'm going to be sharing a link right now. This is our FAQ. This is our article on how to understand your sales. So feel free to read there, follow along. And if you have any other questions or concerns, or you want to talk to somebody, we're humans at the other line of this. So you could email us at help@boomlearning.com and you'll talk to our amazing team. So let me see. Yes, we also, we did add our last office hours was regarding basically Eric Omeg, the chief technology officer, was talking, was going over a bunch of changes, a bunch of new stuff, and we added the new subcategories. We noticed that well, you noticed, actually the community noticed that some categories were too broad. So now we did subcategories. We opened it up. We opened the floor up for you to suggest any subcategories, and that list was going on for a while. Now it's live. So again, what I want to bring this up is it's really important, your feedback. We really pay attention, we care, we listen. So it's great. Okay, so let me see if there's any questions. Okay, so Reich has cramp from utilizing the new soap categories. And Michelle shared a link to the file. I shared it again. If you want any information, please feel free to reach out at Jorge, Jorge, at boomlearning.com, and I'll be there. Let me see. Okay, Shana says, where can we get a t-shirt like yours, Jorge? Well, mine is limited edition, one of a kind. Mary, the CEO, sent it to me, so I have it's special. You can't see. I'm going to sign it and sell it off to Planet Hollywood, if that's a thing still. So let's see, 3 more minutes. Last questions, open floor. Michelle, if you have anything to add, Carrie, if you have anything to add, feel free to do so. Yeah, it's really cool. We have a lot of stuff in the horizon going. I don't know if you got a chance. We made it to the news. It was great. and yeah, let me see if there's any other questions. And if you haven't joined our Facebook groups, feel free to join, be part of the community. Me, Quinn, Christine, we're always in there reading. Even if we don't reply to everything, we're always, every day, I promise, if we're reading and looking and paying attention to what goes on. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Okay, I have a question right here. Where can I find more information about the keyword format? So basically, over in the last office hours, it was basically dedicated to office hours. We talked about it. So if you have a chance to see the recording, it's in our publishers group. If you go to the publishers group and search, you're going to have to search the recent media, you'll see the video, and there, that's where we mention the information about the keywords. And again, we're hyping up the next thing. It should be for educators, for those educators that are still in the classroom or that you use the classroom. It's going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be really useful. Yeah, the development team is always busy. They're always extremely busy making sure there's a lot that goes on in the in the shadows. So yeah, yeah, let's leave it there before yeah, it's time for everybody to get some rest, go get lunch and dinner and spend time with the family. I want to I thank everybody that was here. Have a safe day, wear a mask, drive safe. I know the weather conditions is pretty weird pretty much everywhere in the US right now, so be safe. And yeah, I appreciate it again to Michelle for saying yes, and that's it. I'm going to leave it here. Thank you very much, everybody. See you around.